Hi boys and girls, my name is Jeff. For my first video, I'm going to show you how to build a professional mileage tracker for free using Google Sheets, Google Forms, and Apple Shortcuts. And for my Android friends, don't worry, you could use MacroDroid and it works the exact same way. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is my phone being mirrored. I have a shortcuts widget that shows start miles, end miles. So we put start miles. Let's put it at, well, we've left off at 10,000. We'll put 10,000 done. And when we do that, the box right up here is iClouds and it records your start miles. So there's the 10,000. If you wanted to change it, you go back into start. You can keep the active trip or you can overwrite it. So if we wanted to overwrite it with 10,001, we hit done. And then our iCloud will update to 10,001. Once that's done, we'll do our end trip. As soon as we do our end trip, as soon as we hit done, it'll log right into our sheets. It'll be right down here. It'll be row 30. It'll be a new entry. So let's go ahead and put 10,010. Done. There we go. We did 9 miles total. So let me just make this full screen here. What I have is at the top, the yearly total miles is calculated. Estimated deductions, that's going off of 70 cents a mile. Progress bar, goal, beginning and ending miles for the year. Figured that was good to have on there just in case you need to calculate your personal miles. And then the purpose. So I just have it automatically going to pizza. That's what I put in there. So you're a pizza delivery driver. But as you can see on 23, I have Spark. So you can even make it a drop-down menu and put whatever you want in there. But I'll show you how to build all this. So if this is something you're interested in, let's build this. Okay, let's get started. Do I need to make a statement about how I don't know anything about taxes? So the estimated deductions, I'll show you how to mess around with that. If you need to change it for yourself, you could do that. So you're going to want to open, I have a brand new spreadsheet here, and I have a brand new Google Forms. So if you don't know how to get to them, if you go into the little Rubik's Cube, the Google Rubik's Cube, I have mine in my favorites, but it would be somewhere in here, your sheets and forms, assuming that you can get there. So, right, yearly miles. Yearly total miles. In section A. Make that a little bit bigger. And then section B, I'm going to write estimated deductions. Estimated deductions. Okay. Now that we have them lines, let's just keep on moving to A3. Here we'll put date. We'll go to B3. We'll put purpose. C3, we'll put start miles. Oops. Start miles. Oh, geez, I can't spell at all. And end miles. And then total miles. So total miles is an E. So there we go. If you have it just like that, that is perfect. Now, what first thing I'm going to do, now that we have the total miles, estimated deductions, and everything in line 3, I'm going to click on the 1. Shift, click on the 3 to highlight these 3 lines. Now, I like to maybe stylize it a little bit, but like make it Google Sans and make it a little bit bigger. Maybe make them bold. We could always make the background like gray. There we go. And then while we got them all highlighted, let's go to View, Freeze, and we'll freeze up to row 3. That way, starting on line 4, if we scroll, it'll always keep them up at the top. Okay. So now that we know that our total miles column is E, in B1, well, here, let's move this over a little bit. In B1, we can write an equation that is equals capital SUM, and then in parentheses, we'll put E4 colon and then E. It'll look just like this. That'll take the sum of it all, this whole entire row, all the way down to what, 1,000? I think it goes. Yeah, let's go to 1,000. So all the way down to 1,000. So that's that for that, and it'll put a 0 there. Now our estimated deductions will be figured from our 1B. You know, I'll put these equations in the description, so you just, if you're watching the video, you could hopefully just copy it and paste it right into yours. That way you don't have to type all these out. But if you are typing them all out, then this one's going into B2. We're going to do equals. We're going to do B1 because we're taking the yearly total miles to figure this out. And then we're going to do times 0.7 for 70 cents. So once that's done, it'll put a 0 here. And then I usually like to highlight this cell, come up here to format as currency. Now it shows it as money for your estimated deductions. As easy as that. That way, if you drive, 1 mile, you have 70 cents for deductions for that 1 mile per mile. So it'll add up. Easy to figure out, when it comes tax time, if that's what you need to use. Okay. Now that we have that, our E4, we're going to put a formula in here. And it's a pretty decent size formula. So I am going to actually copy it and paste it because I already have it written out. And we'll put it in, it's an array formula. So that's what it is right there. It'll be all capital array formula in parentheses, if, more parentheses, D4, just make this match word of letter for letter, symbol for symbol, and pause the video if you have to get that in there. Like I said, I'll put it in the description. That way it'll be an easy copy and paste. And once that's done, it's in this cell. It doesn't show anything. It's all hidden, but that will calculate the miles from, doing a subtraction problem from end to start. Okay, now that that's all done, we're moving right along. I like to lock that cell too. Now that we have the formula in the array formula locked into 4, let's protect it. So if you do a right click, you go down to view more cell actions, protect range, And then we're going to add a sheet or range. We're going to add a range. Set permission. Then on this, I would go with show a warning when editing this range, because that way anytime you go to mess with like column E, it'll give you a warning and you'll remember that you have that there. Done. Now we have E4 is protected. So if we try to mess with this, it'll send us a warning. So now that that's done, we can in G1, I like to put a beginning of 2026, since it's 2026 right now, or whatever year you're in, mileage. And then H1, so we'll scoot this out. H1, this is where we'll just make up 100 there, 100 miles for the beginning. And then you can put in G, there we go. We'll just copy that, but we'll put ending of 2026 mileage, and here we could just put I don't know, to be announced. Okay, so there we go. That looks pretty good. Being that we won't be using I through Z, I click on I, hit Shift, click on Z, right click, and then we're just going to delete these columns I through Z. That way, especially if you're looking at Google Sheets on your phone, it won't be scooting left and right. You'll hopefully be able to just scroll straight up and down without going like way off in the right field for no reason. Okay, now that that's done, this is all we're going to do to the sheets right now. Okay, now this is, I mean, we can name the sheet. Here, we're going to name it, we'll name it 2026. I already have practice. I'm just going to put 2026 twice. There we go. So, and you could always name this sheet too if you wanted to. You could rename it down here. Rename, and then we'll put 2026. Okay, there we go. Now it's looking pretty clean. Okay, now that we have our sheets pretty much done, now let's go ahead and go on to build our form. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go up to, don't go through tools, create a new form. I spent 4 or 5 hours trying to figure out why I couldn't get shortcuts to work with the form, and it was because I created it through the sheets, and it put some kind of weird code in there that wouldn't let me talk to shortcuts. So the way we're going to do this is not through there. Don't do that. Go to the Rubik's Cube on Google, find forms, bam. Now we're in forms. We could title this, I'm just going to title it 2026 mileage practice 2026. There we go. So first thing we're going to want to do with this one is we want to create the form. This is what the form is going to basically look like. You have your purpose, you have your start and end. So this part, we're just going to write purpose, and then purpose, and then we are going to make it we can make it a drop down, and then anything that you might drive for. So you're a pizza delivery driver, and you are also a grocery delivery person, and then you are also, let's just name a third one. You are Uber. Okay. So there you go. You got your pizza, your groceries, your Uber, and then we want to go to this plus symbol, which will create another question. Here, you could put start miles. Geez, my spelling is off today. Start Mike. Start miles. It changes it automatically to short answer, which is what you want. And then end miles also changes it automatically to short answer. This is your whole sheet. You can put as many purposes as you drive for. If you're trying to log a bunch of miles and keep the actual purpose separate. But that is all we need for this. And we're going to go ahead and publish it. You have some options here. You could say, you could put anyone with the link, and anybody that has this link will be able to essentially come in and mess with this form. But you're the only one that's going to have the link. So I usually just leave it alone. But I guess you could go into manage and change it to just you or whoever if you have multiple people. So publish. Okay, now it's published. So if we came into, go to responses, it's up here. There's questions, responses, and settings right at the very top. Go to responses. This is where it's going to give us the option to link to sheets. This is the way you do it. Select existing spreadsheet. So we're going to want to select the spreadsheet that we just made. Mine was 2026. So there it is. I select it and insert. All right, now it reopened the link with that's right on the form response 1. What first thing, and this is to get a timestamp purpose, Miles, this is everything that we put into our form. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name of the form. And you're going to want to rename this, and I'm going to rename it to data 26. And you're going to want to rename this because in the code that I'm going to use to mirror the answers that are coming from here into the sheets that we build, it's going to need to be named the same. You don't have to name it data 26, but then you'll have to change the little part of the code that has data 26 to make it mirror. So now that that's done, we can go to our actual sheets and we'll put it in A4. And this will be the line of code that is going to allow the mirroring to happen within the form. And again, I will put it in the comments section or down there so you can see what it is. But it's this array formula, and you see where it says data 26. And I have, if you were to rename this to I don't know, say next year, and you want to make it data 27, then you would come up here and just change the 6 to 7 because this would have to match it for everything to mirror correctly. So once that's in there, okay, so now that's all in there, and now we should be able to go back to our forms. If we go to preview and we copy the responder link, and then and then we put in to a search our link, it'll bring up our form. Choose, let's say for this example, We'll just do pizza. Our answer will be, let's go 1. And our end miles, 77. There we go. We started on 1. We went 77 miles. Brand new car. luxury car on the first mile. And you're using it to work. So hit submit. It says it's been submitted. Let's go back to our form. You can see that it showed up on our form. So from the data 2026, the data 26, it put in all our information, and then our actual sheet that we made, it logged all our information. It totaled the miles. It put our yearly total miles into the yearly total miles, and then it estimated deductions. Now let's test it one more time. We'll do another response. We'll do 10 miles. Make sure that we'll say it's groceries this time, and we will go from 77, and then we'll end it on 100. And we'll submit. It's been submitted. So back to our form. And there we go. We got our yearly total miles, 99 miles on our brand new car. And everything seems to be working good. You got your daily totals, or your trip totals, I should say, for however many trips you end up logging through the day. Now, on this line, you have your timestamps. I like to view this without grid lines, but that's not where I wanted to go, I think. Okay, yeah, we could take grid lines out of it or leave them, whatever, it doesn't matter. But format this. Go to numbers and then come down to your date and format it as just a date. That way it's not showing the times, because I don't know, unless you like the times and want to leave it, you can leave it. And then if you hit this little gray box right by the 1 and the A, it highlights everything. I'll come in here and I'll just center everything. There it is. Heads up. We got the warning because we're trying to mess with E4. We're just centering it, but because we're doing anything to it, it's gonna ask, and then we're gonna say okay, or you can say don't show again. But there we go. We got everything looking centered now. We can take this one too, because this has our array. So we could do the same thing with this one and come down, view more cell actions, protect the range. We're going to add it. It's got our A4. We're going to set permissions. We're going to just show a warning if we happen to mess with that one, because that's one that we don't want to change. So at least we'll get that warning if we do go to mess with that, because we forgot that we put it there and it's important. But regardless, the rest of them will show up just the way we do. And we won't mess with this. Here, we'll do one more just for fun. We'll go to Uber this time. We'll say 100 miles, and we'll do 155. Submit. All right. And now we have this one. It's totaled everything up. Everything is looking fine. And you can mess with the colors, beautify this any way you want. But I don't ever mess with this page. This page is just for a view. So if you need to, say you accidentally put in that and you're like, oh, I didn't want to put in that, I need to delete it. You come to your data 2026, highlight row 4 and just delete the whole row. Boom, gone. Now, when you come back over your sheets, it's gone in there. Okay, so what's next? I think we could put in a red alert. So if we highlight column E, our total trips, and we go to format and conditional formatting, we're getting that warning because we're messing with column E. Okay. We're going to go to this, what we just created, the whole column, and we're going to say less than. So format cells if less than 0. Okay, I should just put on less than 0, then we want it to go like bright red. Don't show again for 5 minutes. We're gonna have to put that, or else we're gonna keep on getting that warning. All right, so is that bright red? Is there brighter red? That's pretty good. So we'll put bright red, and done. That way, if we end up putting in like negative miles, so we'll go to create another response. We will pick pizza. Now, let's say we put in 100. Here, we'll actually make it. We'll do 200 miles because we messed up and we have fat fingers and we meant to put in 100, but we put in 200. And our next one, we put in 150 because that's our end miles. We submit it. Now, if we go back into our sheets, it's given us a bright red warning. So when we look at it, we'll know right away that there was something wrong. And then we can fix it. We can go to our data 2026, and we could be like, oh, that was supposed to be 100. Come in here, change it to 100. Now it's fixed. Come back out. Now we have our 50 miles. It's no longer red. Trying to think if there's anything else with the sheets right now. It's nice to, you can make it look a little nicer. You could do like alternating colors and something like, we'll go A3 to H1000. Done. Okay, there we go. Now have some alternating colors, be able to keep the rows looking a little nicer. Now that we have alternating colors, another thing that we can do is you can group these. Say February. You have all February, and your February's over, you're into March. So you could highlight, click the number, click shift, click the number, and then come to view, and then go to group. And you could group row 4 through 6. When you do that, it's going to give you this warning. Okay. Now, when you do that, you'll have this little minus, and you could make it go away. It'll be there with the plus, but now the top is 7. So then you could start your March and only be looking at your March. And you could do this for each month. You'll just have different plus signs. Open it back up. Of course, when it's, the first one, you're going to have this warning every time, but it'll open right back up. Now we could get on to our shortcuts. Making progress. So hopefully you like this video and you've been enjoying building this so far with me. And really, you could be done here if you wanted just to have the form and the sheets. Although with just the form, you'd probably have to leave it open till you ended the miles. So I definitely like it the way that I'm building it, especially with Apple Shortcuts, because I have a mileage or an app for my car that I can see the mileage, and I can type in the mileage on the computer before I leave, and then when I stop my trip, I can use my phone and hit end, and it just works perfectly. So it's pretty awesome. So let's get into it, and we will look at the next part, which is building the shortcuts. Okay, so on our shortcuts, we're going to want to have a start and an end just like this, but we're going to build it new. So I like to come over to the left-hand side here, click on that, and up top, there is a new folder button. I click that to create a new folder. We'll just call it 2026. Done. Now the new folder is created. Up top right, there's a plus button. You click on that, you get new shortcut. Go into the new shortcut, and we'll make this big. And we'll name it starting or start trip. I like start trip too, but I already have one named that, so I have to name it starting. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to add an ask for input. Ask for input, we're going to change that to number and prompt starting miles. So that'll be the first thing we do. Then we are going to look for a file. We're going to save. Go save file. We're going to add that underneath. Save, ask for input. We are going to unclick that. Now it says ask for input to shortcut. Okay, we're going to go to shortcut, click on that, and down here where it says new folder, we're going to create a new folder. We're just going to call it miles. Create. Or you could call it mileage, whatever. And then hit open. Now you have your miles folder. All right, our subpath. We are going to call this start_miles.txt. And that's the file we're going to save it as. And we are going to check overwrite if file exists for later when we want to overwrite it. Then we are going to add a show notification right underneath it. And then for the title, we're going to say trip started, ! Start miles saved. Okay. So that should give us our first entry. So if we were to hit start up here, the little play button, we get ask starting miles. We could put in 5,000, hit done. And then we could open up our Finder. And in our Finder, I guess I gotta make that a small screen, exit full screen. Okay, and in our Finder, we see our miles folder. We click on that. We have our start miles. And it says 5,000. So we have successfully saved it to, now it's like up there. It's not in the center anymore. Weird. Okay, well, anyways, so now we have the basics of it built. And now it's up top left. I don't know why it went away from the center, but it's all still there, so we are good to go. So now we have to think, if we clicked on the start miles and we wanted to, we clicked the wrong start miles, or we clicked start miles because we thought we were going to drive, and then we went and we did a bunch of personal driving, and then we decided the next day we were going to put in miles, the start miles might be different. So we would want to have the option to change it. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to say get file, and you're going to get file from folder. We're going to put that up here. We're going to look for the file miles. So we're going to open that, and then the path that we're looking for is the start miles.txt. So that's what we saved it under. That'll be what we look for. So we'll check if it's there. We don't want it to throw an error, so we'll uncheck that. Then we are going to add an if statement. So we'll put an if, and we're going to say if the file size, which is connected by the little line to this, if the file size has any value, if it has any value at all, then we are going to put in a menu. We'll get choose from menu. So if it has any value at all, then one will be keep active trip, and 2 can be start new trip, and then we'll put in parentheses, we'll put overwrite, and then just to give it a little bit more dramatic effect, we'll put in a little police siren. So that way you kind of, you know that you're overwriting it. So now under keep active trip, well, if you're going to keep the active trip, then nothing changes. So we're going to want to stop the shortcut. So we get to stop the shortcut, and that ends right there. If we're going to keep going, then we need to do the same exact thing that we had down here in there. But we also need that for otherwise. So we could just grab the end if, drag it to the bottom. Now this is exactly where it needs to be. But we do need to duplicate it to put it right under the start new trip overwrite. So you can right click on that, duplicate, and we'll move this up. Then ask for input, duplicate, and then move this one up. We'll check to make sure all this stuff's right too. And same thing here, duplicate it, and then move that up. So now, if we decide to overwrite it, we'll jump right into asking for the numbers and going ahead and overwriting it. And yes, overwrite if file exists. Yeah, and that all looks good. And then same thing down here. Like I said, you could leave these or not. Overwrite, and I think it all looks good. So let's go ahead and give it a go. Aha, see, we hit start. We already had 5,000 in there. So now we're getting an option. Choose this or this. I'll just keep it active. Actually, then I would have to hit done, but you know what? Let's start new trip. Start new trip, done. There we go. Let's put 5,001. A lot of times it's going to have a pop-up that's going to ask you if you allow it to do different things. So yes. And there we go. It should have, oops, it should have logged, and I'll just do a real quick check off screen. And it did, it logged at 5,001. We are good. So our starting is finished. That is all you need. Now, so it saves the file to your iCloud. And that's exactly what we want. Okay, now we're going to create another shortcut. I like to drag it on this side of starting, because this is going to be ending. All right, so here's our ending. And we are going to start off by asking for a number. We'll put ending miles, question mark. Okay. Now, where to start? You know what? I think I'm just going to build it from top to bottom. So we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to put one above this, get file. So we're going to do a get file from folder. We're going to put it right above it. Shortcuts, we are going to select our iCloud. We're going to we can accept our iCloud like that. And then we put miles / start underscore miles dot txt. So now it's going to get the miles from the file, and leave that checked. That way, if there is no miles in there, it'll give you an error, which that works fine. Well, that's fine. So now we're going to want to do a calculation. So grab a calculate and put it here. And we're going to say if ask for input, or I'm sorry, we're going to say ask for input minus, so just change this minus, and then here, insert variable, we're going to choose file. So that way it's ask for input minus file. So whatever our ending miles is, we're going to subtract it from our start miles. Now we're going to need an if statement. And so we're going to say if, we're not going to go calculation results. We're going to say if select variable, if ask for input, and we're going to say is less than, and we're going to insert variable, so right click, file. If ask for input is less than the file, then we're going to want to show an alert. We'll show an alert. I'll try to speed this up a little bit by, I have a message over here already, so we're just going to say error, miles cannot be less than start miles. Please try again. That way we're not allowed to put in miles that are less than our start miles. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll stop the shortcut with a stop this shortcut. Okay. Otherwise we're going to put in a URL. Otherwise, we're going to put in a URL. Now, this is where it's going to get a little interesting. So, in order to get the URL, we are going to go back to our form. So, here's our form. And if you come over to the 3 dots on your form and you go to pre-fill form, we're going to choose one. We're going to choose pizza. And this could be anything. I'll make it a little simpler. I'll put 100 and 200. So we have pizza, 100, 200. Now we have a button that says get link. We're going to hit get link, copy link. Now we copied it to our clipboard. Now we're going to take that link. We're going to go back into where our URL is. And we're going to copy that there. Now that this is here, we do need to change and add a few things here. So the first thing we're going to do is where it says view form question mark. This view form question mark. Well, if you take out view, now you have form question mark. And if you go to the end of the M on form, between the M and the question mark, and you type in response with a capital R, no spaces or anything, response, that's the first thing you have to change. And then right after this, where it says 200, we're going to put the and sign, and then you're going to put submit, and then equals, and then capital S, submit. And that's the two things that you have to change on this form that you absolutely have to change. Now, what we want to do is we want to go in and play with the variables. So we put in pizza. Well, pizza is right here. I'm just going to leave that because I think that unless you're switching jobs a lot, like which one do you drive like 99% of the time? That's probably what I would keep in there, and then just go into the sheets and change it if you need to change to something off that you don't do maybe once a week or something like that, rather than having to change it every time. So I'm just going to leave that. If you do want to change it, you could change this variable and have it choose every single time which one you want to do. But I'm just going to leave it pizza. That way, every time it goes, it'll show up pizza. Now you have 100 here. That was our start. So we're going to delete the 100, and right where the cursor is at, we are going to right click, and then we're going to insert the variable. The insert variable, we're going to insert file, because the file is where our, and you can just click anywhere on the screen. The file is where our start miles is, and now it says file right inside, right here where we need it. And then the same thing with the 200, but the 200, we're going to delete right where the cursor is at. We're going to insert variable, but this time we're going to insert the ask for input because we want the end miles. Okay, now that's exactly what you need to do for this form. We could always walk it through if you really wanted the drop down menu and everything, but you should be able to figure that out. If not, then we can talk about it later. But let's move on. So now that we're on URL, we're going to want to get contents of URL. You're going to want to drop that right underneath there, and then it should just autofill it to URL. So you're getting the contents of the URL, and you don't change anything with this, just leave it at get. And then we're going to go ahead and show a notification. So show notification, we're going to drop that right underneath, and we're not going to show it to this, so you just clear. We just want to show the notification, and we want it to say, I like to add green check mark, and then we'll put you drove, and then we'll put actually where the cursor is at, we'll go ahead and go to insert variable and go to calculation result. Okay, and then we'll put in miles. Might need a space there, I don't know. Miles, exclamation point. And then one last thing that we have to do with this end before we're done, and we want to we'll go to search and we'll type in delete. And we want to go to delete files. Now, what this is going to do is as soon as this all runs, the very last thing it's going to do is it's going to delete that saved file from your iCloud. So it's always fresh with only your start that you're on. As soon as you end a trip, it deletes that file. It's gone. So we want to put delete and then just select variable. I'm sure we could do it this way. You just had to put file, but we're going to hit file. Delete immediately. So I don't want it to stick around. Delete immediately. Now our end trip should be done. Let's put it to the test. So now I'm just going to go ahead and close out of that. Now I have a starting and an ending. Let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and take that down to a small screen. And let's open our Chrome. Let's take this down. Let's put this on this side. We'll put this on this side. I could get a Finder in there too. All right, let's drag the Finder over here too. Guess we'll put it, we'll say. Okay, and let's go ahead and go on to our sheets, because that's what we want to see. Okay, well, let's see if this works. So I already have it starting. We could check it. It says overwrite. Now we'll keep it active. It was 5001, I believe. Should be able to. Yep, 5001. Says it right there. Okay, and let's do an ending, and we'll see if it all works. When we put in an ending, we'll put 5010. And actually, we'll make it 5011. Make it 10 miles. And this should delete, and our sheets should automatically update to put in the new miles. Let's see if it works first time. Always allow. And always delete. So there you go. We got our 10 miles, our file deleted. Now we can run it one more time. We'll do 6,000. Done. See, our file got created, and then we'll do 6,001. Done. Bam, 1 mile. So there it goes. The only thing that really I would do from here is if you wanted to, if you didn't want to see this data here, because this is just going to keep the data. We don't mess with any of this. Don't have to. Anything you want to look beautiful, if you want to change the colors and anything that I have here, if you don't like the way it looks, like if you don't want that one bold, and you want it to the right of that cell, this one you don't want bold. Like anything you want to change, you could change in there. But the data 26. So down here, if you right click on this, you can hide this sheet. We don't really need to look at it. Now you do need to come back to it though. Like say if this one was like, oops, got to get rid of it. We're going to delete that row. So that row's gone. Now it updates in here. We don't have that 1 mile anymore, but we can always hide this sheet. So then you're just left with a nice clean sheets. When you come in to look at it, you don't have to worry about that being there unless you needed to mess with it. If you ever need it back, you go to view, and then right here, hidden sheets. And there it is. You just hit show, bam, pops right back up. Now it's there again. I like to keep it hidden. And that's how you build the app. And hopefully it doesn't take too long, and then you can use it right away. That's fantastic. I love it. Hope you love it. And I hope I catch you on the next one. I'm going to be working on these poster rails I'm building for my Whatnot show that I plan on doing hopefully soon. So hope to see you there. Adios. I forgot one more thing, so I figure I might as well come back and tell you. But making these look a little nicer and putting them into a widget on your phone like how I had at the beginning, you just come in here and you could change the icon. When you come to change the icon, I like to put a little car, maybe make it green or blue or something like that, maybe matches your phone. And then let me go back to it again. Change icon. Yeah, select it at the top. So there we go. That changed the icon there. And then same thing with this one here. Change icon. And we'll make it blue. And I like to make it the finishing flags. So there's that. Now you got the start with the car, the ending with the checkered flags. And when you put that into a widget and put that on your screen, it looks a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. And you could put it into the widget that has, the two, and then edit the widget to get to the folder that you have the two in, and then you're golden. And that's it. And that's how I have it set up. So awesome. That was it. Later.